Hello, friends and family around the world. This is Will Barney from Barney Global Services here with another global update. Here on Thursday, July 9th, 2026. So much is happening this week. So much has been happening almost every week, but now it's moving at an accelerated pace. Today's episode is called The Ceasefire Crumbles as the storm rages on. There's going to be a lot we're going to discuss about that, issues with Iran, and many other topics that we're going to cover today as this moves forward now very rapidly. Want to get right into our slides here. There we go. Pull this up where we can see it. There we go. Want to start with a little bit about Ripple. Ripple's been wiring up the world, as we've been discussing for quite some time, in this new blockchain system. And I wanted to share this brief video that gives a little bit of information about what that means and how it integrates various components of the new financial system. So let's take a look.
Everyone knows Ripple Prime is in the room with DTCC, BlackRock, and JP Morgan. Almost nobody understands what it unlocks. Ripple Prime is now live on DTCC's clearing rails under the identifier RIPL, with direct access to U.S. Treasury clearing. In July, DTCC starts tokenizing real assets, stocks, ETFs, treasuries. The security lives in DTCC. But Ripple confirmed Ripple Prime will move its settlement and collateral onto the XRP ledger using RLUSD. That's the bridge. Every client Ripple Prime routes through DTCC is a potential flow onto the XRP ledger. $114 trillion sits inside DTCC, and Ripple didn't wait to be invited. It bought its way into the core of U.S. finance. The room was never the point. The doorway was.
So as we look at this integration in the various companies that Ripple has acquired over the last few years, it's all about integrating current economic policy and bringing it onto chain. We've had Paul Atkins, the head of the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, here talking about how he expected all of the stock market to be on chain within the next 24 months. This is what makes that possible. As you can see, tokenization is going to start rolling forward here beginning in July. We're going to be watching the Clarity Act to see how quickly they can get that passed. I think that's a part of what brings the safety and security to bring all this onto chain. And so I think we're going to see a coordination effort between Congress as well as these technological companies to make this happen. Let's move to the next topic here. Eric Daugherty posted this. General Motors has just announced $275 million investment into Tennessee manufacturing. This comes after Toyota shifted Mexico production over into Texas. Apple, Micron investments have just surged in as well. Trump is racking up economic wins. The experts are in shambles. Let's take a listen to this.
And they're building factories all over the country. I think yesterday Toyota announced they're leaving Mexico. And they're coming, I'm not that Mexico's thrilled about it, but they're leaving Mexico and they're coming to the United States to build what will be, I believe, the largest automobile plant either in the world or at least in this country.
Mr. President, on oil prices today.
So General Motors, massive investment. Toyota, very big investment, over $3 billion coming from Toyota. And that's not all. There's a lot more going on here as we look at the chips manufacturing and production. Trump had an interview that he did with CNBC where he talked a little bit about what this move means in terms of technology and in terms of production. Take a listen.
I did something with Intel,
right,
that a lot of people don't know about and talk about, but it was, they had problems with things. And they got hurt badly because no president ever charged tariffs, and Taiwan literally took 100% of the business almost. Mostly Taiwan, but South Korea a little bit, but mostly Taiwan. And I said, boy, if I was president, that would have never happened. Taiwan would never be in the position they're in. Now, of course, they're in a little bit of a tenuous position. And I have them all moving back. They're all moving back into this country. We're going to have 40 to 50 to 60% of the chips, I think, by the time, or pretty close to the time I leave office. They're building chip factories in Arizona in particular. The biggest company in the world is building. They're leaving Taiwan, meaning to build this. They're building their biggest plant, and I think we're going to have a big percentage of chips. Right now, we had virtually nothing. We didn't make chips anymore. And Intel came in. They had a problem. I said, I can solve your problem, but I want 10% of the company. They said, what? I said, I want 10% of the company. And he agreed to. And the stock has gone through. So I think we made $60 or $70 billion in 8 months. Do I get credit for that? No. Somebody said, that's not very American. I said, no, I think it is very American, actually. And I've done that with other deals.
I think they had a loan anyway from the CHIPS Act, and now it's better to have equity than a loan, you would think.
It worked out well from our standpoint.
Right, that's what I mean.
We really had no investment. We had, on zero investment, we made about, I guess, $70 billion in a period of 8 or 9 months. But that's a great thing. What's happened is Intel has gone through the roof. It's one of the hottest companies, and they've done a great job.
So great things going on there. For those that are watching the ticker at the bottom, of course, the Dow at 52,000, NASDAQ well over 7,000. These are all-time highs, numbers people thought we would never achieve. Very fascinating to see how this goes out. I think when you bring those stocks onto chain, there will be adjustments. I think that's necessary to get some of the air, if you will, out of the system. But that'll be done on a stock-by-stock basis as those are tokenized. And once that's all solidified on the system, it's sky's the limit, right? It's going to keep moving. Donald Trump posted this on True Social. Thank you to the brilliant and highly respected Gwen Shotwell and her husband, Robert, for their extremely generosity in helping children to attain the ever-magnificent American dream. Their gift of $325 million worth of SpaceX stock is greatly appreciated by all. Thousands of children have just been given a better life. Thank you to Gwen and Robert, and continued great success. Gwen posted this: my husband and I are honored and thrilled to participate in the Invest America program and a share of our SpaceX stock to the Trump accounts for each or more of the 2 million children across our great nation. Every American child under 18 can benefit from having a Trump account, but our gift specifically goes to the accounts of children ages 11 through 17 that live in areas where the lower average household incomes, with a bit more emphasis than those that live near our Central Texas home. We have been fortunate in our careers and hope this gift encourages the next generation to continue the journey of enabling humanity to live and fly amongst the stars. A huge thanks to all that work to bring this incredible program to life. Of course, she is known as Rocket Woman, and an absolutely amazing gift that's going on here. We are investing in the next generation. We are making a difference. This is so different from what has been done before, where birth certificates were monetized into trust accounts that nobody had access to, and everyone was enslaved to the system. And now what's happening? Freedom, prosperity is rolling out, and it's right in front of your eyes, and we're doing it with the next generation so that they can be free economically and in every other way. Amazing. Eric posted this, wow, in another major blow to the experts, Micron has just announced a $3 billion surge investment into the States for the semiconductor supply chain. And, of course, there was announcements made that Trump talked about, and he had to do his typical dance with the good news. The economic winds keep piling up, and the fake news is having to admit Trump was right. Of course, that big announcement from Micron came after Apple already committed another $30 billion in investment here in America to produce high technology. Secretary Howard Lutnick of the Commerce Department said this is a factory that's going to produce memory chips in central New York, which hasn't had anybody building anything in it for decades. just one megafab is going to be a mile long, and there's going to be 4 of them, tens of thousands of jobs. Listen to this interview.
Which builds memory. So you remember when you have a chip, there's a logic and there's memory, right? So we need to build both in America. So they're building it in Texas and they're building it in Arizona. They're building logic. And now Micron is building here in New York and in Boise, Idaho, hundreds of billions of dollars in memory. You haven't seen a factory. We call it a mega fab, but let's be clear. This is a factory. This is a factory that's going to produce memory chips in central New York, which hasn't had anybody building anything in decades. Bad politicians turned around and let these companies leave. The Carrier Dome isn't here anymore.
At
right?
Syracuse University.
And now you've got Micron pouring it in, right? This, just one megafab is going to be a mile long, and there's going to be 4 of them. Tens of thousands of jobs. Micron is going to do 100,000 jobs. Then you've got company after company investing hundreds of billions of dollars in America, which leads to President Trump's $19 trillion. That is going to be millions of jobs, 5 million trade jobs coming to America. And this is a great example. I mean, look behind us. Look how much dirt there is and trucks there are. I mean, you can imagine how many tradespeople are going to come right here and work their tails off to build a great, great factory.
So it's great news for New York, a state where there's been a lot of businesses leaving the state due to crazy taxation policies. So it's good they're getting some investment back in. It's going to make a big difference. Iran ceasefire crumbles. So let's move to Iran and take a look at some of this news here. Donald Trump posted this. This is in retribution for yesterday's bombing of ships by Iran. It happens again. It will get much worse. You can see burning going on there in Iran. Here's some video that he posted. So these attacks were primarily carried out at night. No one could see them coming. And there were 80 targets hit the first night and over 90 the second night. So major attacks there in Iran. Fox News weighed in on this, and Eric Daugherty shared it. President Trump is now punishing Iran. Nearly 170 Iranian targets have been pummeled by the U.S. military, CENTCOM. Trump is not even sure they are worth a deal anymore. Take a look.
Control. Swing on over here. Night number 1, 2 nights ago, you had 80 Iranian military targets in their sights. They include coastal radar sites that I just showed you over there, some of these command and control networks and the anti-ship missile capabilities. Then last night, we had about 90 Iranian military targets included a bridge in northeastern Iran, but primarily the similar sites here now, air defense systems, coastal surveillance assets, and these naval capabilities. There have been dozens of these small Iranian boats that have been taken out just this week alone. I'm going to bring in Dan Hoffman to join Sandra and me. And sir, good morning to you. Are we back at war?
Yeah, I think we are. Look, when Iran chose to strike those oil tankers transiting the Strait of Hormuz, that was a deliberate provocation. Iran had to have anticipated the United States response. And they did that because a state of war against the United States and against Israel and our Gulf allies, that's oxygen for this hardline IRGC regime in Iran. I think they also want to test the United States by driving up oil prices and disrupting trade, global trade, with an eye towards gaining some leverage in their interaction with the United States. I don't even know if we'll see negotiations as were planned before these strikes in Islamabad on 11 July. But Iran sees this as an opportunity, especially in advance of the midterms, to gain some leverage.
You know, Dan, this is a post from the Institute of the Study of War yesterday, late yesterday. Iran's behavior after the latest U.S. strikes indicates that the Iranian regime values control over the strait more than avoiding renewed escalation with the United States.
So this is concerning news, as it appears that the Iranians are just not able to keep an agreement. This is going to be troubling. Donald Trump weighed in on this topic. He doesn't know if they can honor a deal. Take a listen.
Many ways we can win, but we've already won militarily. They have very little. They have very little left, and they want to make a deal so badly. They called a little while ago. They want to make a deal so badly. I just don't know if they're worthy of making a deal. I don't know that they're going to honor the deal. That's the problem.
If they want to make a deal, why do you think they attacked commercial vessels?
Because they're sort of crazy, to be honest with you. They're sort of crazy. They're a little bit out of control, but they want to make a deal. Badly.
Of course, he continues to say they want to make a deal. It's going to be interesting to see what actions that we get from this. Many are saying, "Hey, this was warranted." They're not holding up their end of the ceasefire agreement. Of course, during this ceasefire agreement, there's supposed to be another 60 days of time to negotiate a final deal. We'll have to see how that rolls out. Meanwhile, Mario Novel posted this. The U.S. hit Iran's Kandahar port overnight, and this footage shows what's left of its maritime control tower. The tower ran ship traffic in and out of Iran's only deepwater ocean port, the one that lets it bypass the Strait of Hormuz entirely. Taking it out is aimed squarely at Iran's grip on the water. Kandahar is also India's flagship trade project with Iran, which means New Delhi just watched years of investment take a direct hit. Very interesting what we're seeing there as this conversation continues on. Trump was asked some questions at the conclusion of the NATO summit. We reported on this on Tuesday, and I'm going to share this brief little segment from him as well at the conclusion of that summit.
Over the course of the past 2 days, I had a number of excellent discussions with other leaders at the summit and held productive bilateral meetings with essentially all of them. We had dinner last night, just about all of them were there. President Erdogan of Turkey, as well as President Zelensky, and he just came in, as you probably saw, had a little press conference, and also President al-Shara of Syria, who's doing an unbelievable job in unifying Syria. What a job he's doing. Syria was a mess with what happened with their previous government, you know that? Very dangerous place, and now it's just come together. He's done a fantastic job. People are talking about it. In every conversation, it was clear that America is back, and we're stronger and bigger and better than ever before. We have more jobs, as I said, than ever before. And we're respected again like maybe never before. We are so respected as a country.
So interesting what's going on here, where we have Iran literally crumbling and failing to keep agreements. America continues to surge in economic activity, investments, jobs coming back, all this creation of good stuff. Last week we had reports about or on Tuesday we did about the 250th celebration here in America and what that means. And it appears as if we have reached the golden age. All this massive investment is coming in week by week, day by day. Additional things are happening that are strengthening America's position. This is good as we move into more of the storm. Now, Donald Trump referred to the storm in a press conference when he first took office, and everybody wondered what he was talking about. And he said, well, you will see. Now, more recently, he said, we are the storm, and we are taking back control. So what we're seeing is a complete rewiring of the world here. And I think as this issue is settled in Iran, which I do think it will be settled, that paves the way for probably a final settlement as well with Russia and Ukraine, because these things are all related. We're fighting an enemy here that has been in control of many of these countries. And as we eliminate their capability to hit us, we will, I think, come to full agreements. And we will have peace, because that's what Nassar and Jassara is all about. More fraud is being exposed in America, vast sums of money going to various directions. First, we want to talk about the Department of Education. Secretary McMahon said, we have, through our student loan program, the FSA program, we have identified and prevented now over $2 billion in fraud in student loans. She went on to explain a little bit further, but let's take a listen to her report about what they're doing to stop and prevent fraud in the Department of Education.
Just beginning now to really look into the fraud that you're referencing, the K through 12 schools. We've been focusing quite a bit of our fraud detection, if you will, in higher education at the moment. And we have, through our student loan program, the FAFSA program, we have actually identified and prevented now over $2 billion in fraud. So I'm very pleased that we've been able to do that. And now we're looking more at the K through 12 issues that you were raising. And I can assure you that we will be following through with our departments to see where this money has been going. If fraudsters are just seemingly trying to pick the pocket of American taxpayers everywhere we turn. So as we're looking at schools, or we're looking at the programs that are going out, we will be focusing on this fraud as well.
So fraud being rooted out of the education system, that's good news. There is a lot in the K through 12, the younger, and that ties in with what we had spoken about previous episodes about the bond problem. Some call it Bombageddon, and it's really crazy what's going to happen. Bond issuance by various counties and states for the raising of money for education, but the money was not necessarily going into education. So, and it's created massive debt loads for many counties and states beyond what they could possibly take care of. So that is, of course, looming in the background. And so the fact that we're tackling this fraud issue, I think, is very important. We still got a ways to go on this subject, and there'll probably be more coming. Dr. Oz posted a brief update on what they're doing to combat fraud in the healthcare system, and they have found some very interesting things. Take a listen.
10 years in federal prison. That's where healthcare fraud took Marquita Barnes, pictured here walking out of court with her handsome Louis Vuitton purse. She owned the Milwaukee prenatal care company called Here For You, but she wasn't there for us. She was just convicted of orchestrating a massive Medicaid fraud scheme.
According to the evidence at trial, she billed for prenatal care and child care coordination services that weren't provided, paid illegal kickbacks, including cash, diapers, car seats, and baby supplies to recruit Medicaid patients, used others' identities to bill for totally fictitious client visits, laundered her fraud proceeds, and tried to obstruct the investigation of her crimes. The court ordered more than $2.3 million in restitution and sentenced her to over a decade behind bars. 2 other women were convicted of a similar scheme last year, and 3 more people have pleaded guilty to defrauding the same program in the last 6 months. In total, these frauds have cost Medicaid over $15 million. And here's why every family should care. That money was not supposed to fund fraud. It was meant to help high-risk pregnant women and new mothers get prenatal care, education, counseling, and support for healthier pregnancies and healthier babies. When someone steals from a program like that, they don't just rob taxpayers, they rob vulnerable mothers. They undermine trust in honest healthcare providers, and they give policymakers a reason to tighten or reduce programs that thousands of families legitimately depend on. Wisconsin has reduced parts of its prenatal care coordination program following widespread concerns about fraud in the industry. Whether you support more government health care or less, everyone should agree on this. Fraud makes good programs harder to defend.
Healthcare fraud isn't a paperwork mistake. It's a direct attack on patients and taxpayers and the future of programs designed to save lives. If we don't demand accountability, everyone pays the price.
Thank you, Dr. Oz, for your work you're doing to clean up fraud in the healthcare system. Speaking of fraud, now we're going to turn our attention to elections. as we have AAG, Harmeet, has been working with, she's in the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, and they've been working very hard to try to combat some of this fraud, particularly enrolling people to vote that shouldn't be voting, etc. And she had some things to say about certain states and what they're doing and how they're not singling any states out. They're simply following the law. Take a listen to this.
This week, the Civil Rights Division has been focusing on election issues as we head into the midterms. Now, among the things we did this week was send a memo and a cover letter to all 50 state election officials and the District of Columbia, reminding them that under several federal statutes involving voting that I administer here at the Civil Rights Division, it is a crime to knowingly allow non-citizens to vote in those states' elections. Now, people got very hysterical about this. I got a lot of pearl clutching from Adrian Fontes in Arizona and talking about a slippery slope, and Deirdre Hutchinson in Utah claimed she was being singled out because she refused to give us the voter rolls under our civil request for that information to help those states that we requested clean up their voter rolls. The Washington State Secretary of State also made some remarks. The reality is no one's being singled out here. We want all people to be reminded that it is a crime to vote in a federal election if you're not a citizen. And it's also a crime if you're an election official or somebody up that food chain who knowingly allows it or conspires to make it happen. And so there, in fact, people are a little shocked because no one enforces these statutes, but there are actually so many of them. I wanted to go through a refresher, and there's so many of them. I want to make sure I get these numbers right. So there are multiple federal laws, of course, that make it a crime for non-citizens to vote under, particularly the 18 U.S.C. Part of the code. 18 U.S.C. Section 1015 makes it a crime to claim you're a citizen for purposes of registering to vote. Section 911 makes it a crime to falsely and willingly misrepresent your citizenship in the United States. And non-citizen voting in a federal election is itself a different crime, Section 611. But beyond that, there's more. Under the Help America Vote Act and the National Voter Registration Act, it's also a crime to aid and abet these crimes that I just mentioned. So Section 12 of the NVRA states that the procurement, casting, or tabulation of ballots that are known by an election official to be materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent is a crime. Help America Vote Act, Chapter 209, similarly indicates that it is a crime for anyone to conspire with another to give false information in registering to vote, 52 U.S.C. Section 21144A. Now, to be clear, each of these statutes has what's called a knowledge requirement, and we call it in the law, we learn in law school, scienter. Guilty mind, that means that there has to be a knowledge by the person who you're charging with the crime that they're doing this. And so, you know, if you're not doing this on purpose, then you have nothing to worry about. But many election officials in our country are on notice because there actually have been several federal prosecutions since this Trump administration involving non-citizens voting. And just this week, there was someone who's an Australian national who's voted in multiple elections. And as you stay tuned in the news, you're going to see more prosecutions that we're currently investigating and dealing with, and there have already been several. In addition to that, Civil Rights Division has also obtained a guilty plea together with our colleagues in Los Angeles of a woman who was illegally registering untold number of homeless people using a false address.
So the DOJ is taking very seriously these fraud allegations now, and you're going to hear, particularly on this subject of voter fraud, you're going to hear a lot more coming on this. In fact, I think you're going to see some great declassification of intelligence by the Department of National Intelligence on much of this fraud that's going on. They have uncovered it, and I think they're going to start showing it to we, the people, here very soon, and that's going to even escalate these arrests and indictments. Fox News did a brief segment here with Vance Champions talking about all of the crackdown on fraud across the country. And, of course, they were covering the recent fraud meeting that's chaired by J.D. Vance. Listen to the amount of fraud they have found. It was quite astounding.
Trump's leadership. He's the first president to take this seriously. And the president wanted an all-of-government approach, which means you need someone that sort of sits above the rest of the government to really get this done. And that's why Vice President Vance's leadership is so important. And the stats speak for themselves. Tens of billions of dollars of fraud discovered and payments prevented from leaving the government that otherwise would have gone to fraudsters. Hundreds of people indicted or facing prison. And also, I mean, this has gone a little bit below the radar, but it shouldn't. Kash Patel and the FBI, they have been chasing some of the biggest fraudsters that the United States has from the top 10 most wanted list all over the world. Somalia, the Philippines, Turkey. 4 years ago, we had an FBI that was prosecuting grandmothers for praying the rosary outside of abortion clinics. And today, the FBI is chasing fraudsters down to the ends of the world. The wins are just getting racked up every day. And it's because of President Trump and Vice President Vance. And that's what he was saying yesterday in Wisconsin.
So moving on with some of the things that J.D. Vance had to say about this fraud, I want to share this brief segment because this is a good example of the types of frauds that are occurring here in our system.
This is a program, again, there is so much fraud, or there was so much fraud in the federal government, we're taking it off of the books. But so much fraud, I didn't even know this program existed. Okay, so what is allografts? These are the skin grafts that people get when they get a wound or they get a burn. A very, very important medical procedure, but a medical procedure that was being radically taken advantage of. So if you go back to 2019, 2020, 2021, you see less than $1 billion is paid for these skin grafts. Again, these are very important procedures for the people who need them. What happens under the Biden administration? All of a sudden, we go from less than $1 billion spent on these skin grafts to $15 billion in 2025. And actually, in 2026, the number was supposed to be $25 billion. But because we cut down on fraudulent payments and fraudulent billing, we saved you $25 billion. That number is now well below $1 billion today. That's a simple, good government action.
Thank you, J.D. Vance, and the whole team that's been working on uncovering all of this fraud. That's massive. Just saved $25 billion just in one category within the healthcare industry. Katie Zachariah shared this: billions in SNAP fraud in California. Color me shocked. I thought Rob Bonta and Gavin Newsom were on it. Well, let's see if they're really on it, huh?
Zachariah. Katie, great to see you. Here's what Joel Pollack of the California Post said about California food SNAP fraud.
Basically, some of the store owners were exchanging food stamps for cash and kickbacks. And what the feds discovered was that there were small bodegas running up $1 million tabs in food stamps, and the kickbacks were providing the bulk of those transactions.
You know, he went on to say, Katie, when you have a system like California, there's just so much government money coming in, it really is just impossible to keep track of all the stuff that's flowing towards.
Well, it may be impossible, but the state government under Gavin Newsom or our wonderful Attorney General, and I mean that sarcastically, Rob Bonta, have done nothing to investigate the fraud. And now President Trump's DOJ, through HSI and his U.S. attorney, are having to go investigate massive fraud. And look, it looks like there's about 11% is what they're estimating of the fraud that's going into California. Trace at $12.5 billion in SNAP benefits to California. 11% is $1.375 billion. Okay, this is not small dollars. This is money that should be in the pocket of every tax-paying citizen in California and America, and it's being fraudulently spent, likely. So this is disturbing and disgusting that President Trump has to do this, Trace.
And on it goes, Katie, and it doesn't seem like anybody wants to do anything about it. Meantime, what they do.
So a lot of fraud again in California. California has got a lot to uncover. There is deep corruption there, and this is, you know, many have said, oh, the corruption is on every level. It is. It's down on a local level. It's in the school districts. It's in the county commissioner's offices. It's all over the place. It's in the cities. So we have a lot to to still uncover in this topic. In other news, we want to start with a little, shall we say, a public service announcement by our one of our favorite secretaries of state, Marco Rubio. But he talks a little bit about the differences of communism, how this socialist system affects everything in your life. And Donald Trump actually shared it, as you can see on this post, because he wanted everybody to hear this brief exchange. Watch.
Socialism sounds benign, but at the core of democratic socialism is Marxism. And at the core of Marxism is this fake offer that if you turn over more of your individual freedom, we're going to provide you security. We're going to provide you free healthcare. We're going to provide you free education. But the problem is that when they can't deliver on it, or when you're not happy with it, you don't get your freedoms back. And by freedoms, I don't just mean elections. I'm talking about the right to choose your own doctor, the right to make healthcare decisions for yourself, what your kids learn in school, what schools they go to. All that stuff you lose control over, and you don't get it back just because the security they promised you didn't happen. So that's what we're on the verge of having to decide here in this country. It's a reason why people flee countries that have this stuff. It's a big deal for America, and I hope people start waking up to that reality.
Great message there from Marco. Thank you. This Democrat socialist movement is causing major problems. Julie Donut shared this, and thank you, Julie, for sharing it. I predicted everything. I've been right about everything, and I have been for a long time. That's how I got to be president 3 times. Take a listen to what President Trump said here.
The world is taking you at your word, sir, that the MOU is over, that the ceasefire is over. What happens next, sir? Are we on the cusp of a full-scale return to full conflict?
Well, I'll tell you what happens next. We're never going to see Iran have a nuclear weapon, because that's much more important than the numbers you're talking about. The prices of oil are dropping like a rock. Now they'll be up a little bit, and this will end very quickly. We have an oil glut right now because we got all those boats out of the strait, and it's going to drop, and I've predicted everything. I've been right about everything, and I have been for a long time. That's how I got to be president 3 times. That's how I won 3 elections. I did very well in the second one, won it. It was a rigged election, but I've been right, and oil's coming down. Now, I have to make sure of one thing, that we don't have lunatics having control over nuclear weapons.
So as you can see, Julie posted this because she wanted everybody to understand. She put the word COG, that's an acronym for continuity of government. And that's what we've been living under. So Trump's had 3 terms. Isn't that interesting? Everybody thought Biden was the president. He may have been the president, but he was not the commander-in-chief during those 4 years. And there's going to be more revealed about this as the process of taking back our republic continues. Here we have Department of Interior Secretary Burgum sharing some information about what it's like working with Donald Trump and what leadership to take care of the properties of America looks like, and the blueprint that could be laid out for many of these blue cities to fix the problems that they have. Take a listen to this.
Well, President Trump is a prolific worker. Works like 20 hours a day. Kevin, Kelly know that. These guys are good friends. They connect with him. I'm sure Kevin's had calls at all hours of the night. So it's nothing special that he's calling me. Yeah. He's if his staff goes to bed at 10 and he's still got a couple of phones in his hands, he's dialing, long into the night.
So what's he asking when he calls?
Well, he's usually asking about progress reports on how things are going, or he may have. When he's either, flying to Andrews in his helicopter, spotted something, or he may have been driving, to an event in town and he's seen something out the window. I mean, he doesn't miss a detail. And then he'll be like, what about this? What about that? Are we working on this? And of course, we had the example of having a nation that was under the Biden administration in decline. The fact that we had allowed 48 monuments to fall into disrepair. We had 22 fountains that hadn't had water running in some cases for decades. We had over 1,000 graffiti sites, 152 homeless encampments. All that was our starting point just 18 months ago.
Did you know taking this job that a big chunk of your work, though, was going to be on D.C. monuments?
Well, we knew with President Trump that he wanted to have a beautiful Capitol. We knew that. And then he codified that in his safe and beautiful executive order. And we had a chance to work on the safety side because the U.S. Park Police report into Interior also. And we've doubled the size of that organization, increased their authorities, and they're a big part of why the crime rate in D.C. is down. So it's not just one thing. It's not just like we're fixing fountains. We're also fixing the fact that, and President Trump has created a blueprint for every major blue metro in America. If you want to have a clean city with beautiful public spaces that are safe, it's just a function of leadership.
But the reflective poll.
And Trump has proven it's just a function of leadership to clean all of that up. As we have been looking at what's been transpiring over the last month or so, I've been talking about the storm that is raging, that we're at about a level 2.0, and we're going to probably hit closer to a 6 by the time we get to the end of this. All of these things are part of that. The storm is about the justice coming for those that have been corrupting and destroying the nation. And this same justice is coming to many nations. This isn't just the United States. I'm showing examples here in the United States. But the same things could be done and said in other nations, because all of us need to clean up the corruption in our nations for us to have a peaceful and happy life. Here in America, things are looking very good, particularly in the state of Florida and Tennessee, at least for Donald Trump, as a bridge and an airport are named after President Trump. We'll start with the first one here. This is Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. It was an honor to join the official unveiling of the President Donald J. Trump Bridge along Interstate I-40 in Dandridge, Tennessee. With me was Marsha Blackburn and Tim Burchett, Representative Faison, and members of the Trump family, including Elizabeth and Anne Marie. When the Tennesseans were sent POTUS back to Washington with the largest mandate in state history, they knew the promise of his pro-growth agenda because his principles have driven people there in droves. In many ways, Tennessee embodies the best of President Trump, building nationally as we place American workers, manufacturers, and families back at the core policies that they belong. So the bridge now on I-40 that goes over Lake Douglas, now going to be called the President Donald J. Trump Bridge. Let's listen to what Scott Bessent had to say about this.
On the heels of America's 250th anniversary, it is fitting that we gather along one of the great highways that binds our nation from coast to coast. Interstate begins on one coast, ends on another. It carries workers before dawn, families after dusk, and now above the waters of Lake Douglas, the name of the president who puts the American people first. A president who is unsparing in his efforts to restore American strength and unyielding in his resolve to reclaim American sovereignty.
So, bridge named after Trump, but that's not the only thing. Now we've got an airport as well. Fox News posted this. Says, news, signs outside West Palm Beach Airport and along nearby highways show its official rebranding to Donald J. Trump International. The South Florida airport was known as the Palm Beach International for nearly 50 years, with the new name now cementing President Trump's longstanding ties to the area where he frequently travels and leaves Air Force One, and also owns the nearby Mar-a-Lago Club. Eric Trump marked the occasion by taking the first flight into the newly renamed airport. So amazing. Let's take a look at this. Eric Trump posted about it. I am deeply honored that at 5:01 a.m., Trump Force One will be the first plane to land at the newly named Palm Beach International Airport. Now and forever will be President Donald J. Trump International Airport. There is no person who has done more for Florida and our country, and no one more deserving of this incredible honor. As a son and as someone who flies out of this airport nearly every day, I will forever be proud to see the initials DJT on my boarding pass. Congratulations, Dad. I'm happy to have played a big role in making this happen. Thanks to Meg for Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis, and AG James Ohlmeyer, and so many others for your incredible support. So amazing that we see there. Il Donato Trump couldn't help himself and had to post this as well. We are so back. with of course, a picture of a Jeep with a top down and the ladies there celebrating President Donald J. Trump airport. Amazing. As we wrap up some things here with our podcast today, just wanted everybody to understand a couple of things. We live in a time when it's been very difficult. This war that we've been in with the invisible enemy has been very hard. And there are many that are not with us anymore. Maybe they were lost to COVID. Maybe they were lost to some other medical problems. The reality is we know new technology is coming. We know med beds are coming. We know there's a lot of advancements coming, and not all of them come in time for some of us. And this has been a hard thing to endure. We do read the comments. We know many of you are struggling. Many of you are wondering, why is this taking so long? But we hope that as we report these global updates, you begin to see progress is being made on a day-by-day basis. When the country is so far out of whack as to where we were, trying to bring it back to its founding as a republic, it takes a lot of moves. And it's not done in a day, it's not done in a month, it's not done in several months. This has been years in the making to turn this around. You don't take an aircraft carrier and turn it on a dime. It takes a little bit of sea to turn that thing around, and it's the same with the government. So I know it's hard. I know it's a struggle. I hope that you, as you watch these reports, that you understand that we're trying to show you the evidences of action being taken to literally take our country back and to restore it to its former glory. So let's look at some of these final slides here. As Donald Trump posted this, "We are the storm," and of course, lightning striking there behind what is Trump Force One airplane. Next, Heavy Pulp posted a video last week called "Sweet Land." This is an ode to America's 250th year. This video was shared no less than 3 different times by Elon Musk. And because of the significance, and you can see there, 8.2 million views, I want to share it with all of you. I think there's a lot of information in there. There's a lot of comms. There's a lot of hat tips to Q. There's a lot of going on there, but listen to the words. I actually recommend you roll this back and listen to it several times, because you kind of got to listen to it a few times to catch it all. It moves rather quickly, but there's a lot in there for all of us. And it gives us hope. It gives us courage to keep going, even when it's been difficult and challenging. So we want to end our podcast, our global update today, with this video. I hope you enjoy it as much as we have, as we've seen it many times over the last week. Take a look and enjoy.
Sweet land, sweet land of the weary and the wild. Oh, where are you, my sweet The garden's either dying or about to come alive. The river's either drying or it's deep enough to dive. Can't tell if it's the dusk or if it's breaking into dawn. Are we going on or are we going? Somebody said a storm is coming, but it's been a long time. I don't know what's up ahead, but please, baby, don't you look behind. So tell me, is it gonna be free energy forever, or just the same damn old grind? Singing, sweet land of the weary you can hear this from the other side. Across this great quantum divide. Don't get me wrong. Now is the time to stay strong. So, with all of that I'll say, God bless the USA! God bless the USA! Singing, sweet land, going on, 250 years and it's going on and on the edge of a forever or the edge of being gone. Is it midnight? Is it morning? Is it ruining? Is it time to rise? 250 summers gone by. So just go on and tell me those sweet lies, the kind as sweet as these Julys. Going on and going gone. Light up, light, light, higher. Sweet land's going on, going on. Sweet land, going, gone. So please, just know that we can still rebuild. We can still make something better.
So thanks everyone for being with us again today. We can still make something better. And we are doing that. We're doing it each and every day. We're going to keep doing that for the many years to come as we make things better each and every day. I hope you take a chance to maybe run that back and watch it again a couple of times. There's great information and images in that video. It was designed to kind of have a little something for everyone, those that are struggling with how long it's taking and those that are courageously walking forward. Either way, there's something for everyone there, and to give encouragement and strength to keep going. We need to finish this for all of humanity's sake, for our children, our posterity, our grandchildren, and all those that go beyond. We have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to do this and to finish it. Yes, it's hard. We acknowledge that, but there's so much that can be done. The storm is raging. It's going to intensify as we get into the next few months, and that was by design. We are in the sequence of the storm now. This is military operation precision, and it will continue to reach an escalation. So we're going to have a crescendo. And that crescendo is going to take us to a place where we have a deliverance that is open, visible, and clear for all to see. So thanks, everybody, for being with us again for another day. For those that are trying to reach me, I do some consultations. I have a limited schedule for that. Unfortunately, I wish I had more time for you. But if you'll go to the website, enochgs.com, at the bottom of the home page, there is a link there that goes to the calendar, and you can see if there's a time that might work for you. We're here to serve. We're here to help. We want to find ways that we can accomplish the humanitarian work that needs to be done to rebuild this world as we come out of a broken system where the control grid is finally shattered and we're able to once again stand and walk and be sovereign, free people. We have great work to do to rebuild and to beautify this beautiful earth. It is beautiful, and I think there's even more beautiful things we can do to make it more wonderful. And that's the work that we do. It's why we're here. And I know that's why many of you are here and are watching these videos, because you have a humanitarian heart. You want to build heaven on earth, and we're happy to do that with you. So thanks, everybody, for being with us again for another Global Update. We hope you have a wonderful and most amazing weekend. There is a lot to be grateful for. There is a lot to give gratitude for. It is happening. We are in the throes of it. I know it's hard when it seems the storm is raging around you, but all of you have this wonderful, unique opportunity. Those you have awoken 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, beyond that, you woke up and you understood what these things were. And the reason you woke at that time was so that you could be here at this time, and that you could do the work that needs to be done. And one of the biggest things that we can do, all of us, right now, for each and every one of our neighbors, our friends, the folks we know down the street that are completely oblivious to all of this, the most important thing we can do right now is to hold our peace. Get that connection to God, get that connection to peace yourself, and hold that steady state. Because as the consciousness of all those around you is going to be stirring with this storm, they're going to be looking for something that is steady, something that is solid, something that is true, and you will be that person for them. That is the work you can do right now. It doesn't cost anything. It just costs our time and attention to look and to see and to do what we can to stand in a place of solidarity and not be moved. Thank you, everyone. We love you. We appreciate you. We hope you have a most beautiful and blessed weekend, and we'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye-bye.